The scene opens with a man who appears to be an investigator observing his current target as he golfs in the desert mountains. After the target leaves, the man prepares to drive off, only to discover that his brake lines have been severed. Moments later, his vehicle loses control and crashes. Later, the LAPD are called to the scene after a pair of hikers discover the wreck. Detectives Karadak and Morgan arrive to investigate. Oz informs them that the victim is Curtis Bear, an ex-con previously charged with armed robbery and multiple assaults. Daphne reveals that the truck's brake lines were deliberately cut, confirming this was no accident. The uniforms also found a pool of brake fluid at the top of the hill, not far from the crash site. Upon searching Curtis's truck, the detectives recover a rifle, a notebook detailing the daily activities of his current target, and a sum of money. Morgan theorizes that the cash was likely a down payment, supported by a note stating that Curtis would receive the remainder upon completion of the job. It becomes clear that Curtis was hired to carry out a hit. The only question left is whether he completed the job, and if there may be another body waiting to be found. With the possibility of another body somewhere in the vast desert, the team acknowledges that it could take weeks to cover the entire area. However, Morgan suggests they may not need to. She notices several bright, orange golf balls scattered nearby that appear new, as if they haven't been exposed to the elements for long. She theorizes that someone was golfing that very morning, and if they can determine where the golfer was standing, he may have been Curtis's intended target. Morgan explains that the distance and direction of golf shots are directly related to how the ball is struck. When a golfer slices the ball and it veers away from their body, it carries less energy and travels a shorter distance. When they hook the ball across their body, it generates more energy and travels farther. By studying the spread and landing points of the golf balls and working backward, the team can determine their point of origin. Following this method, they trace the shots back to a hill and conclude that the golfer was left-handed. When they search the area, they find no body and no signs of blood, leading them to believe the target left unharmed. Fresh tire tracks further suggest that whoever was there did not leave in a hurry. Later, Morgan discovers a left-handed 3D printed golf club with printed code at the base. This discovery raises new questions. If the target is still alive, they need to track him down, because whoever ordered the hit is still out there. Or worse, it's possible the target himself arranged the hit on Curtis. Welcome back to Sandy's Timeline. Today we're covering my all-time favorite series, High Potential, Season 2, Episode 9. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so we can keep growing together. Now, let's dive in. Back at the station, the team examines a digital camera recovered from the hillside. After pulling the memory card, they discover several photos of the intended target. Detective Soto immediately recognizes the man as Douglas Newmeyer, an inventor and businessman best known for creating the Newmeyer sweep. According to Soto, the Newmeyer sweep was linked to over a dozen house fires last year, all traced back to faulty wiring. The incidents resulted in 4 severe injuries and 4 deaths. It's believed that Douglas was aware of the fire risk, but chose to bury the reports and keep the product on shelves anyway. Although he managed to keep the story out of the press and protect the company's reputation, the business is now under active investigation by the FBI. Douglas could potentially face negligence or even manslaughter charges. Since the scandal, Douglas has received numerous death threats and has become increasingly paranoid about his safety. He now travels with 24/7 security and constantly rotates between his multiple homes to keep his location secret. Karadek, Oz, and Daphne arrive at one of his properties, only to walk in on what appears to be the FBI staging Newmeyer's assassination. That's when they learn the truth. The supposed hitman, Curtis, was actually an undercover FBI agent working to uncover who ordered the hit. From the looks of it, however, the FBI team has no idea that their undercover agent is already dead. Wagner joins the case after being contacted by his former colleague, Myra Taylor, the FBI case manager. A joint FBI-LAPD briefing is held, chaired by Wayne Vincent. During the meeting, they reveal that Curtis was actually Curtis Belanger, a decorated undercover agent out of the Denver field office. The reason the FBI didn't realize he was dead is that his next scheduled check-in wasn't until the following day, so there was no immediate cause for concern. Since most of the team didn't know him personally, they had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. Myra explains that murder-for-hire cases were Curtis's specialty. He flew in specifically for this operation and had been living out of a motel throughout the assignment. When Oz asks about Curtis's last check-in, particularly since the client had already left a payment without knowing he was under surveillance. He theorizes that perhaps the client spotted Curtis during that meeting, had him eliminated. Wayne adds that the hit had been arranged through a murder-for-hire website, where clients log in using fake identities. Curtis had attempted to set up an in-person meeting, but the client insisted on using dead drops to exchange instructions and payment instead. As of now, the client's identity remains unknown. Morgan and Daphne head to Newmeyer's home, where Morgan confronts him about the dangers of his vacuum cleaner. The conversation quickly turns heated. While inside the house, Morgan steps into the bathroom and notices a tube of scar removal cream. When she asks Newmeyer if he has any surgical scars, he insists that he doesn't. The denial doesn't sit right with her. Morgan recalls an award photo she had seen earlier, one where Newmeyer was holding a woman closely by the waist. At the time, it didn't seem important, but now, thinking back, she remembers the woman was wearing a UV protective scarf, the kind often used to prevent scars from darkening in the sun. Morgan also noticed a wedding ring on the woman's hand. That realization shifts the focus. If the woman is married, her husband could have motive, especially if he discovered the affair. The team identifies the husband as Joel Dorskind, a 48-year-old man living in Beverly Hills with no prior criminal record. That may explain why Newmeyer never mentioned the affair to federal agents. In his mind, Joel didn't fit the profile of someone capable of orchestrating a hit. He likely dismissed him as harmless or weak. When the team pulls surveillance footage from an office supply store located just 5 blocks from his firm, they spot him carrying the exact same type of envelope used to pay Belanger. That connection all but confirms he was the one who hired him. Once they bring Joel in, he confidently states that he can still call off the hit since no one has been killed. His comment makes it clear that he has no idea Curtis is dead. A search of his office reveals he was preparing the next payment, further proving he was completely unaware of what had happened. Which raises the bigger question. If Joel didn't know Curtis was dead, then who killed him? Back at the office, the team begins to reconsider the investigation from a new angle. Morgan notices that one of the envelopes found in Curtis's truck contains traces of orange fibers, while the new envelope does not. She quickly connects the fibers to the orange carpet in Curtis's motel room. Karadec adds that they had discovered Curtis's hiding spot under the wardrobe, pressed against the floor. Something suddenly clicks in Morgan's mind. If Curtis had already stashed the money in his motel room, how did it end up back in his truck? Since his next check-in was the following day, he wouldn't have left that much cash sitting in the vehicle. Soto theorizes that someone must have retrieved the money from the motel room and placed it in the truck intentionally to make the investigation focus on the murder-for-hire angle. A threatening note saying, "I'm watching you," was likely planted as well. This realization sends chills through the team. Whoever killed Curtis not only knew everything about his undercover operation, including where he would be and his every move, but also had access to the operation's inner workings. That means the killer could very well be one of the FBI agents themselves. Soto instructs the team to quietly investigate all FBI agents who had knowledge of the operation, emphasizing that the inquiry must remain under the radar. Later, Newmeyer is brought into the briefing room. He's informed that Curtis had been following him the day he was golfing, though Newmeyer didn't always realize he was under surveillance. The memory card recovered from Curtis's camera revealed deleted photos that hinted at the scope of the observation. The team pieces together a likely chain of events. Curtis had discovered that Wayne was secretly feeding Newmeyer information about an ongoing investigation against him. Newmeyer, facing serious jail time, had used Wayne to make incriminating evidence disappear. Curtis likely confronted Wayne about it. In response, Wayne allegedly broke into Curtis's motel room, deleted all photos of himself, killed Curtis, and then staged the crime scene by planting the money and envelope. Investigator also learned that Curtis and Wayne first met when Wayne was stationed in Uppsala, Sweden, a connection that gives more context to their work relationship. Recent bank transfers, including one significantly larger than the others, further incriminate Wayne and suggest financial motivation behind the betrayal. If you enjoyed diving into this episode with me, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode breakdown. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Sandy's Timeline.